Joe, I don't know if you're using the registration lists, are you?
No, I was about to ask actually, what is it? I don't.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, what it is it's basically a printable page that has the details of the student. And then, well, you're going to see it in a moment, but there's a few other details you can include in it. You can include USI status and those sorts of things. I know some people who create a PDF, like print it to PDF and then send it to the trainers, and they can print it at the venue. It's effectively a sign-in sheet, as some people use it as. Other people use it as a way of checking to make sure, effectively maintaining internal processes. They might hand it to someone who does the accounts and go, hey, can you go through this and check to see that all these people are paid? Just verify they're all good to go. Because once they've attended the course, we're not going to get them back again.
No.
So we've got to try and get things sorted while they're there.
Yep. Okay.
And the other thing too, you can also use it for a competency check. So the trainer can use this as a manual way of saying, yes, they're competent, and that can go as part of the class records.
It might be something I should look at actually, because I usually copy and paste the list, and send them off to.
I think this will probably replace that then. I think this will be able to replace that.
Sounds it might be a bit easier.
And it's fairly customizable now, so you can really do, lots of things with it.
Oh, good. I knew I should be coming along today.
That's good. Hopefully it'll save you some time, right? And there is actually a download feature, but it's not working at the moment. I'm not quite sure why, but it's not working. We have tested it and it's working in the test environment, and we're just waiting to do a release. And then once that's released, you'll have the ability to download those details as well.
May I ask a question, Scott, on that one?
Yes, sure.
When we have seen it downloading, it comes up in a format that looks nothing like the actual sheet that we have when we're looking on screen. Is it a CSV file? I'm not sure of the terminology, but it's unuser friendly in the form that we saw it before it stopped working.
Yeah, I think what was happening is we had some HTML breaks coming in there, and that had been added for another purpose, but then unfortunately it broke that particular way. So I think what I've seen, I can send you a copy actually of what you can get out now from the test environment. I think it's going to be a lot more user friendly for you. I know that when I spoke to Kane, your counterpart, he was also saying that he found one particular column in particular quite difficult to use, and I think we've fixed that. So hopefully he'll be happy with that change.
Thanks, Scott.
How about anyone else? Has anyone else been using the registration lists or wants a bit of a tip on that? I see Namgay unmuted herself, but we can't hear you, Namgay. I'm not sure if your microphone's working or not, but feel free to put something in the chat if you can't. That's okay. Let's move on. I'll show you what it looks like, and then you can get a bit of an idea of what you can do. Okay, so I'm going to introduce what the concept of this is beyond what we just talked about. Also talk about customization that you can do, some tips to make it work well, and some maybe take some questions after we've done that. Okay, so it's a list of the registered students. Like I say, some people use it as a sign-off sheet for students. You can include information from the document forms. Effectively, anything that is on the document form, you can include in this registration list. There are two check boxes on a form. One is called name and one is called summary. Okay, the summary is the information. You can actually have both of those appearing within the registration list, but generally speaking, the name is what appears on the registration list, and that is the fields that have the name checked. So this has a particular representation within the system. So feel free to contact me if you need help with that. And then the summary is what we might include in the registration list. So I'll show you that. We can also include now, there's a new feature available to include the completed workflow steps. So if you have other steps, let's say, for example, you have a paid step, that can now also be included in the registration list. If you have a assignment completed step, that can also be included in the registration step, in the registration list. So these appear as a series of steps. All the completed steps will be be included beside the student. So that's a new feature that's available. I'll show you the, well, if you want to know where to go to get to the course date, the registration list, it's just there where that arrow is pointing, okay? So that arrow beside a course date represents the registration list. So if you need to go in and download a registration list, click on that and you should be able to see it. If you don't see anything, it's possible that either the configuration is blank and needs to be filled in, or we need to adjust the forms and include that name or that summary. We need to check that off. There's a question about the workflow steps. We don't include all of the workflow steps. We just include the completed workflow steps. So those steps that have been completed for that particular document. But if a document has had, say, 5 different steps, then they will all be included. All those ones that have been completed. There's another question here too. So it's just a question from Pamela. With the classroom students, we are sending access through workflow to apply sort of Moodle login details. Yep, I've noticed recently that if this USI is either not recorded or not validated at this stage, I'm unable to send without the USI being validated. Okay, yeah, let's talk about that, Pamela, and I'll look into your particular scenario with regards to USIs and progressing people through the workflow. Okay, so it's possible to customize the registration list. Customizing the registration list basically means that you can include information on the form as you need. So you can create a setting called information to include on the registration list. And I'll dive into a, let me get a version of Course Sales up so you can have a look, and I'll show you where this is.
Setup settings.
So I'm just going to actually show you. I might be logged out now, so let me just have a look. Yeah, I'm logged out. Let's go and have a look. Okay, so it's in settings. Okay, so you go to setup. So hopefully you can all see this, the version of Course Sales that I'm looking at. It's the demonstration version, and within here, let's just see. I haven't got it. See, these are all the settings that I've got it set up currently, but I don't have the setting that I'm describing, which might be the case for yourself. So I'll click on New beside Settings, and then if I just type in List. There we go, information to include on the registration list. And this is the guidance that I can use. So this guidance tells me that if I use, that's called a pipe character, okay? And usually you find it, let's see on my keyboard, it's just above the Enter key. So if I click on Shift, I get a pipe character, and that makes a new column, okay? So if I wanted to, and then a comma makes a new line in the column, so that'll list the items below it. So for example, if I wanted my first line to be a checkbox, and this is to say they've attended, I could do a sequence checkbox, which means that there's going to be a number, okay? A sequence checkbox, and I put a pipe character. And that will tell me that my first column is going to be a number with a checkbox beside each of the students' records. And then I might want to put the document external ID. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to put the form name. So what I usually do with the form name is I usually include well, quite literally the name of the student. So I have the first name, last name, and I might even have, yeah, I think you can have multiple checkboxes in a row. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's possible just to put multiple checkboxes, one after the other. What I'm not sure about is how it will do with regards to formatting, but we can give it a go and have a look. So that's the document form name. And then if I want to put another column, I might now put the document external ID, but I might also want to include other information within this column. So I'm going to put a comma, and now I'm also going to put the USI. So the USI and the external ID is going to be in the same column, and it's going to have external ID above and then USI just below it. And then I'm also going to put in the date of birth as well. And then finally, I might want to have a signature. column as well. Okay, so if I click on add, okay, so that's added that setting in there. Now let's go to a course. Let's find a course that's got some participants on it. There we go. This has got a couple of participants. Let's click on the registration list here. And there we go. So you can see there at the moment on that form, I've just got the first name and last name and the name as checked in the name. I've got a checkbox there, and then I've got the external ID, USI, date of birth in that list there, and then a signature column as well. Let's see what we do if we create those multiple checkboxes that we talked about. See if I can put a few different checkboxes in. Let's say I want to put them just before the signature. By the way, I can also have another column that I call okay. Let's refresh this. There we go. So you can see if I enter text that isn't represented, I then get a column. And all the columns adjust to a certain width. They squeeze in. It does make some funny things happen. Like, for example, this text has been sort of wrapped around. But you can see there I can have multiple checkboxes here as well.
Scott, I don't have that option to do at all when I go into settings, setup.
So you go to setup and then you don't see settings?
No.
Okay.
All I've got is logins. Yeah.
Okay. I'll see if I can make some adjustments to your license so to enable that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then I just wanted to explain also, because I talked briefly about this concept of name and summary on the forms. So I just want to quickly show you that. So if we go in here, I'm going to go and find I'm going to look at the documents that are in here. Open up this one document. I'm going to edit the form. This is a trick. So if I'm editing a document and I want to edit the form of that document, the system already knows what form I want to edit. So when I click on this form tab up here, I just have to click on the edit button and I'll be editing the form of that document. Okay, it's a quick way to get in and edit the form if you need to do that.
Okay.
So now I'm editing the form. I'm going to click on this button to the right here, which shows all. It's going to show all the details about each of the fields here. So watch, as I click on that button, these are going to open up. There we go.
Yeah.
And you can see how I've got this summary and name are both ticked there. So that means that this field will appear wherever I want the name or the summary to appear.
Okay.
Now, someone's asked about how to create a pipe character. I think you have to, it can be different for different keyboards, but mine is I hold Shift down and I press the key just above the Enter key, which has a pipe character at the top, and it's got a / at the bottom. Yeah, but it may vary depending on your keyboard because different keyboards have different layouts. So like I say, there's the summary and this name. So if I scroll down here a bit, I've got summary and name here. Now summary, that is the information that appears on your document list. So if you tick that, it's going to appear on your document list. And if you're using summary in your registration list, it will also appear there as well. So if I scroll down, that's the first. Now you can see here, I've got the mobile number appearing in my registration list, in my document list. So I'll go there just to show you. Okay, so I've opened up another tab and you can see there I've got the phone number there. Okay, that's because it's been ticked for the summary, but it's not appearing on our registration list. You see there, I've just got the name, the first name and last name there. So now if I go back to the form and I tick name here, now remember, this means that my mobile number should now appear in my registration list too. If I click in Save and Preview, and now Publish, remember, you've got to click on Publish. This is the thing that people forget to do when they go, it's not working. So there we go, Publish. Now I'm going to go back to the registration list. I'm just going to refresh this and we should see the numbers come up. No, they didn't. What's going on? I think maybe those particular students don't have phone numbers on them. Oh no, I do have a phone number on them. Let's have a look. What's going on here? Why did that not work? Let's go back. Doesn't it? Do you hate it when those things have they're meant to work and they don't? Mobile number, name, that's right. Save and preview. Publish. Let's go back there, see if we can refresh it completely. It's not appearing. What's going on? Let's have a look at my settings, see if I've done something wrong here. Document form name, document form summary. Let's put them both on there. Document form name. There might be some sort of refresh required before it'll work. Okay, so there we've got the phone number in there. It's not coming up on the name. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So my cunning plan is not working as I expected. Maybe it requires a sign in again. Sign in again. Sometimes these things do require that. No, I'm gonna have to work out what's going on there. Watch this space. I'll work out. It should work though. Okay, so you can still use that process. Just in this case, choose instead of name when you're setting up the registration or setting up the registration list. This time you've got to use the summary. So if I put summary in here, it's going to be doing the same thing. There we go. Now I've got the name and I've got the phone number and the email address as well by including the summary. So anyway, that's just quickly showing you. You're right, Joe. What other questions are there?
No, I'm just looking at, I've got the phone number under my ones on my summaries.
Great. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure why this is not working for the name. It must be, there's probably something special in there that it takes there's probably a process in the background that takes a little while for it to grab it and then display it. I'll just wait for that to happen.
So therefore, I guess I still need to copy and paste because the download's not working right. So copy and paste that list and email it out to the trainer.
Yeah. So what do you send out to the trainer then? Can you describe to me what you send out?
I just use the students' names and USI valid information. Just what comes up on underneath your documents on the.
Well, because in this case, what you can do is you can set up. So if I go into the form. I go back into that form and I know what it is. It's probably because those students are in different form. Let's go in here. And there's going to be a USI status field. See this USI status field? We include that on summary and name.
Yep.
Save and preview and publish. I'll do it to both the forms. Do it on this one as well. This might be the reason why it's not coming up is because different forms being used. All right, there we go. That's fine. I'll go down here. No worries, David. That is correct. Yes, Pamela, the download to CSV is not working at the moment. So it's been fixed, it's waiting in test, and it's going to be out in the next release. So if I now go back to the courses and add some information in there. So let's say, for example, I fill in the student's information. I'm just going to pretend that updated USI verified. I click on save. Oh, it's going to want a few of the fields. Let's get with that. Okay. Hold on a second. I just have to change my validation on this. Now, if we put USI verified in here, and we look at the registration, you can see USI verified's appeared for that student. So I'm not sure if that makes it more helpful for you. If you've got a list of the students and you know that the USI is verified, is that sufficient for you then?
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to do. You want to edit your form to make the USI verified come up for both the summary and the name, and then it will appear here in the registration list. And then you can just print this, because in a printable format, it looks pretty good. Like you can print it as a PDF, basically.
No, it looks good.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the customization there they can do. That's an example of what a common sort of setup might be, and that's it set up there. You notice here, actually, this is before we started doing this ability to put the commas. So this doesn't have the commas in them, but you can put the commas in. Notice how there should be commas between the USI, the document external ID, and the date of birth, rather than these pipe signal. And then when you include the workflow steps, this is what you see. You can see the summary, you can see USI, document external ID, date of birth, and then you can see workflow. And these are the workflow steps that have been applied to that particular document. And then you also get a signature column as well. So to be able to include the workflow steps, that does require a license upgrade for some of you, because it's a new feature that requires quite a bit of maintenance and work. So to get that as a new add-on.
Right.
So the registration list can be printed. If the setting is blank, then no documents are going to be listed. So just be aware that if you don't see anything on your registration list, then it could be that the setting is there, but it's blank and hasn't been added to. As I mentioned, the completed workflow steps may require a license upgrade. To edit the settings may require a license upgrade. So there are some people on a basic license. I don't think that's you, Joe, but I think there are some other people on basic license. They'll either need to upgrade their license, or they can request us to do that work and set it up for them. And like I say, you should be able to add more document fields under the name or the summary. And by saving and publishing, that should come up, and I'm going to investigate what the story is there. And the registration list is also accessible via the trainer portal. So not only can the trainer see a list of students, but they can also download that same registration list, and they can print it using the trainer portal as well. And it's pretty good. It comes out in a very sort of, it's designed to be printed, so it's not really designed to be on a mobile phone, because obviously there's lots of columns. But it can be viewed on a mobile phone and then sent to a printer, and it will come off just as if you printed it from your computer yourself.